priest or paladin, and if I face an RMP, someone is sheep or Nova the whole game.
Should we tell him?
I would, yeah.
We originally set up this matrix, right, where some people can dispel disease and poison, and what happens is, of course, in PvP, 90% of things are magical, and that becomes the most important. So what we think we're going to do is just give that kind of dispel magic to all healers, and then let, like, the poison, curse, disease, or
That's it.
defensive or offensive
Oh, right, yeah.
healing to so everyone will have their own little niche there, but everyone can do the kind of important dispelling you need to.
Dwarves have an amazing racial ability called treasure find, and I'm wondering what the hell happened to the treasure in the world.
They found it all. You want to take that? Archaeology.
Yeah.
Look over there.
I don't actually know what happened to all the chests in the world.
Yeah.
I think it was, honestly, to be totally honest with you, it was mostly because of exploiters for the dungeon chests, and then the outdoor world just kind of followed the same philosophy of we couldn't make them cool enough, but we do have plans to make them cooler and reintroduce them. We actually have another guy on our team, Owen Langdon, is working on a whole system for that, where chests will give you like experience when you open them, and they have very cool stuff, but they're on longer respawns. So finding those with treasure finding is actually going to be a pretty epic event, hopefully. Well, maybe not epic, but it'll be better than finding cheese and silver coins.
Bolt of linen.
How you doing? Thank you, Blizzard.
Thank you.
Question for you all. If you have a 310% speed mount currently and multiple 280% speed mounts as well, is there any chance, perhaps, since the 280% speed mounts are actually pretty cool looking, could we up the speed to the current 310% speed, please?
That's something we talked about. Yeah. Chris wants to do that.
It's possible.
Yeah. That is something that has come up before of like, you get these cool rewards that actually make your other rewards less cool because then you never want to use them again. And we have pitched around the idea that those rewards end up being a boost to all of your mounts just so they're not, just so you don't run into the problem you're talking about there. That's not 100% yet. It's something we're still talking about. But we understand the problem.
What if we just give you your riding crop instead? No? Worth a shot.
310.
My question is about Shadow Priests and haste. As you previously said, haste makes you press the buttons faster. Considering that Shadow Priests are mostly dots, that doesn't help much. Our direct damage abilities are on cooldown, so do you feel that's a problem?
I would say we want to get haste better for everyone as a stat. It's a problem when we have a stat that's great for one spec or one class, and then bad for people sharing that gear. So we always strive to bring them at least to some level of equality. I don't know, maybe we can improve that?
The other thing is, we're not ready to talk about the new spells that you'll get in Cataclysm. What you're likely to get is like one at level 81, one at 83, and one at 85. And something we've talked about for the Shadow Priest is some kind of direct nuke that doesn't have a cooldown, that probably isn't as good as your big ones, but you could throw in there whenever the others are on cooldown. It'd be really useful in PvP too.
All right, it looks like we have about 5 more minutes for questions.
We'll talk fast.
First off, Greg, I am an engineering paladin, so I hate you. My actual question is this. Currently, we have no way of crafting staves, bows, or crossbows. Is there any plan to change that in the future?
We've kind of been holding out on those as the last vestiges of hope for wood crafting, but it's really not enough to make a whole trade skill. It's possible that we may add bows to engineering very gearish, I don't know, artified.
Compound bows.
Yeah, compound bows. But as far as staves and what was the other one?
Crossbows.
Crossbows, those will probably remain uncraftable, but they could be found as relics through the archaeology system or something like that.
Hello. The Feral Druid DPS rotation, I think, is the leading cause of carpal tunnel syndrome in WoW players.
John Madden.
John Madden.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any... I'm actually fine with the amount of buttons we press, but is there any way of, like, for example, making it so we're not tracking two completely different resources in energy and combo points, like letting us build more than 5 combo points but only spend like 5 at a time at most, or anything like that?
We really like the cat rotation. It's when you talk to people that have played the spec for a long time, they love the way it plays. It's the kind of thing I'm kind of hesitant to mess with because people really like it. What we can do a lot better job of is making the default WoW UI communicate better to you that, oh, I have enough combo points, or oh, I'm on cooldown, those kind of things that people feel like they have to have mods for. I mean, it's cool if you want to use mods, but you shouldn't feel like you have to have them to play your class. So we'd probably tackle it that way. Or you could get a Manglebot.
Or enjoy your carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I have a question. Have you been to Oglemore and seen the 15 dead Taurens with filling out a website? Are you going to have some kind of mechanic to get rid of the gold spammers and stuff like that in Cataclysm or before then?
Well, the trial accounts have a very useful purpose. You know, obviously that's not the kind of thing we're super excited about seeing. It's kind of out of our realm of expertise to talk about what kind of measures we could put into place to stop it, but you know, it's not something we want to condone, and once we figure out ways of kind of clamping it off, we'd like to.
Hey, I'm a Rep Paladin, just for everybody out there, and I have 2 questions right now. Okay, just one? When are you going to give Mortal Strike debuffs to everyone? Because you're doing that right now.
What happens in no Rep Pally question addendum?
No Rep Pally questions. No, I'm kidding. We're terrified of a world where classes that wear plate that are so good at survival and healing themselves, such as Paladins and Death Knights, also have Mortal Strike. We think those classes would have to give up some more of their defenses to get that extra kind of offensive utility. Now, the whole question of how many Mortal Strike applicators do we need for arena teams and something like that is an ongoing discussion. We've been kind of hesitant to give it out, and then we went and gave it out even more to some more classes. So I think the future of Mortal Strike is very much up in the air, but I wouldn't assume that necessarily every melee or every caster for that matter is going to end up with it.
Right. Hi there. My question is in terms of with the gear changes and the stat changes, what are you guys going to do for Pally blessings to make them more in tune with the other changes you're making?
We got rid of those too. I imagine, well, anytime we do large revamps with itemization and class tuning, moving from Burning Crusade or even into Lich King, the class and item stuff is really intertwined, so I imagine they'll see the same treatment it'll all be unified. If spell power is now int, then spell power and int buffs may not coexist on the same class, or they may be combined into a new buff. I don't know.
Now, I'll tell you that another category of talents that you're liable to see go away are all the ones that improve buffs, like anything that improves a blessing or an aura, or things like improve Mark of the Wild, those are gone.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Please thank our panelists. We also have our World of Warcraft Q&A tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and also Dungeons and Raid panel tomorrow, as well as the Systems panel. So please check them out.
There's also another class panel tomorrow, too.
And that concludes the panels for day one of BlizzCon, but the festivities continue. We're just moments away from the dance competition getting underway. Here are some of the competitors backstage. We've got an exclusive camera backstage as these guys get ready for the dance competition with Funny Man Jay Moore, which is coming up just momentarily. Also the costume contest. We've got all these characters at Marine from StarCraft. These guys are getting ready for the costume contest, dance contest, machinima contest. It's all coming up live here on DirecTV, right, Kat?
And you know what else time it's for? It's number 8 on IGN's top 10 list of Blizzard games. Do you know what it is?
No, why don't you tell me, Kat?
It is Warcraft, Orcs and Humans.
Warcraft, Orcs and Humans,
Oldie
the classic.
It's a classic. I think it's a lot of people's favorite,
How many games has Blizzard actually done?
No, that's a very good question. How many games total has Blizzard published?
Andy's joining us, the lead writer of StarCraft 2, by the way.
Like being put on the spot. It depends on whether you count expansions as well as games.
That's true.
In terms of games, there's basically 3 main universes, is the way to look at it. There's the Warcraft universe, Diablo, and StarCraft. Now, within each of those, there's been multiple games over the years, said he, desperately covering the fact that he couldn't tell you exactly how many there were.
We're going to figure that out. We'll tell you guys tomorrow. We promise you we got that one. Now, Andy, let's talk a little bit about StarCraft 2. We met with you last year when it was revealed that the StarCraft game was going to be split into sort of 3 separate, distinct titles. Wings of Liberty, the first one that you've been working on, writing. I got a chance to play through the first 7 missions at Blizzard a couple of weeks ago. It's amazing what you guys are doing with the storytelling, with the in-game cinematics, but also within the missions. I mean, it's amazing to see the storyline that really plays out now as part of the gameplay. Can you tell us a bit about how you write a script for a game like this? Because it's no longer just cinematics or just, you know, what's happening in the game. It's blending it all together, right?
It is a creation of very many parts, it must be said, and there's a lot of collaboration. Is the way that it works is, for my part as a writer, I work directly with the level designers, I work with the cinematics departments as well, and we work together to try and push forward what will be the best part of each of those departments' contribution to the game overall. Right. So the level designers will come up with a cool idea for a mission. You'll go, oh, okay, I'll try and fit that into the narrative somehow. Oh, by the way, here's some incredibly difficult to fit into the narrative, something incredibly difficult to fit into a mission that I need for the narrative. Can you help me out here and put it into your mission for me? So it's a horse trading sort of a game all the way through.
Do you feel like you're still trying to convince part of the fan community that the 3-book release is really to tell a better story, or, you know, are you guys trying to get more money out of the customer, which is, you know, what people always like to say?
I know there's something of a concern that splitting it into 3 is some Machiavellian scheme to. But not really. It was a simple fact of when we started planning out the whole game, the original plan was we would do all 3 races in the initial game. But as we did the plot for it, and the subplots, and introduced the characters and so on, it was clear
the game would have never come out.
Well, 2012 was kind of looking like it might be the right time for doing it, but we decided that the fans would probably want to see something before then.
Right.
So we came through with the idea of like, well, let's treat each campaign as a game in its own right. We'll do as many missions as we do for the whole game, and we can actually lavish the attention on it and play out the story in the way we want to do it instead of having to rush through the entire thing.
Right.
So, and I think that's coming through in the quality. I mean, we've had enough people playing through our single-player game now, and they're like, I'm amazed at how much content there is, and so on. It's like, well,
you know,
it's good.
Very detailed. That's the thing, is every mission feels, you know, lots of voiceover work, lots of action, very well tightly tied, the gameplay and the story. So you did a great job on that. Now, we've got some questions for you, Andy, from Twitter, something new we're doing on BlizzCon this year. Let's go to one of those right now. This comes from Halogen, Andrew Kibler, and he says, how much of the StarCraft lore will be explained in StarCraft 2, such as the Terrans on Earth?
Well, this is something you bump into all the game, because, you know, it's like comparing books to movies, yeah? In a book, you've always got infinitely more space to actually explain the inner thinking of all the characters, the backstory, and so on. In a movie, you've got to move through a little bit more swiftly because you have to have pacing involved. The game's very similar. So we'll tackle certainly as much as we can over the course of the game itself, but there'll be an awful lot more that comes out in terms of novels, manga, cartoon strips, various other things as well. Although, that being said, doing story mode, part of the point of that is to let players dig in a little bit deeper if they want to have more lore and more story. So it's there. You don't have to engage with it if you don't want to. If you want to just play the game, that's cool too. But if you want to learn a little bit more about the StarCraft universe, you can talk to characters, access data banks, that kind of thing.
Now you have more time to work on the game, obviously, since it has been delayed. Is that going to change